Flashback. Ryan, going to your penthouse again? Seems like you can't live without me. She teased Jungkook while she was on a call with him. Jungkook, yeah, he can't. Now be a good lady for him and get ready. I'm coming to pick you up. Fine. Alright, and I have something to tell you. It's a gift. She looked at the pregnancy report in her hand, which she just received. Jungkook, oh, I love gifts when they come from you. Gotta hurry up, I guess. Ryan, no, drive safe. Otherwise, Brenda, where were you? I'm looking for you for so long. Ryan instantly moved her cell phone down and looked at Brenda. Ryan, I'm sorry. I need to grab something. I informed the head maid. Brenda, I pay you, not the head maid. You inform me next time. Ryan nodded, but Brenda didn't stop there. She marched over and snatched the report from Ryan's hand. Jungkook heard everything, since the call was still connected, and that's how he rushed over to find Ryan. End of flashback. Jungkook sat there on the stool beside Ryan's bed. He held her hands in his securely. His forehead rested against their intertwined fingers. The doctor was gone. Ryan was safe and sound, and so was their child. But it seemed like Jungkook was not. His eyes were open as they stared at the blank spot. Veins were visible. He was distressed. He didn't speak a word, and somehow Ryan was really worried about him. She knew he was blaming himself, or rather, unable to believe that his own mother did that to him. Fine, Jungkook, it's okay. We're fine. We'll find a way. She kept her voice as soft as she could. He took a moment, then finally shifted from his place and looked at her. Jungkook, I'm sorry. She shook her head and was about to tell him otherwise. He stopped her. Jungkook, I never thought my own mother will try to kill my own child. No matter how much I think about it, it doesn't make sense. Since when did she turn into a murderer? His voice broke at the end, betrayal and pain so visible in those once sparkly eyes. All she could do in that moment was comfort him. She held him closer and embraced him. He hugged her so tightly, letting her know how guilty he was. His one hand rested on her belly, showering the child with the father's affection. Jungkook, let's get you home. He stood up, taking her in his arms, and left the hospital. He took her for a treat first. She didn't want to eat anything, so they settled with milkshake. That too, after a lot of convincing from Jungkook. Next, they went home. Brenda was clearly informed about everything, including the cops' involvement. Jungkook entered home, holding Ryan's hand. He wasn't going to hide anything anymore. Brenda stood up and looked at them clearly mad. So, you want that child? Jungkook. Want? When did a living being become a choice? Brenda. I'm not accepting that child as my bloodline. Keep that in mind, Jungkook. Jungkook, do you understand what you did, mom? You tried to kill my child. Were you that much against us? You were ready to become a murderer? Brenda, enough, Jungkook. You have already caused a havoc, getting everyone arrested. Jungkook, guess what? The one behind the act is still free. Brenda looked at him shocked, and so did Ryan. Brenda, are you going to get your own mother arrested now? For a lowlife like her? Jungkook marched forward and looked deep in the eyes of his mother. Jungkook, not for her. Because you have fallen to the level of a murderer. Can't allow one around my child. He is not safe. Brenda, your father won't allow that. You can't do that. If you're staying with her, take your stuff and leave. Jungkook, sorry mom. You'll be the one to leave. The next moment, the cops barged in and took Brenda away, who kept yelling at Jungkook to let her go in disbelief. Sure enough, she never thought her own son would go against her. Brenda might be taken away. The mansion fell into silence. The danger was gone, but Wine couldn't handle any of this. She was his lover, but Brenda was his mother. She could see how it was hurting him. He was torn between the two most important women of his life. As she entered the room at night, placing a cup of tea for him on the table beside him, and took a seat on the bed, she placed a hand over his and he snapped out of his thoughts. Jungkook, when did you come? Wine, just now. I brought you tea. Have some. He took a cup and sipped it, taking her hand in his. Jungkook, don't do any work anymore. She nodded and placed a hand over his cheek. Wine, bring your mother back. I forgive her. We will leave. We'll go live in your penthouse. Jungkook looked away. No matter how much he was hurting, he was not going to forget such act. Wine, she raised you, Jungkook. She is your blood. I know you are hurting. Please, I don't want to see you like this. She'll not accept us like this either. So we'll just leave. No, Wine was not doing any of this for Brenda. No matter how nice she was, but she couldn't do that to the one who almost killed her child. But her love for Jungkook was not letting her rest. She couldn't see him like this. Jungkook, I'll be fine. You don't have to give such a big sacrifice for me. I'm going to make you my wife with dignity and respect you deserve. So don't ever give yourself any less credit than you deserve. She nodded and decided to dismiss the topic for now. For the first time, she slept with him in that room, in that mansion. There was no fear or hesitation of getting caught. Slept in those arms, so everyone in that home knew she was his woman and the mother of his child. Somehow, Wine and Jungkook's father managed to convince him to take back the report. It all came down to the family and reputation. Jungkook hated his child getting compared to those. However, he agreed when his father accepted Wine as John's daughter in law and his child to be the next heir to the throne. Jungkook was not letting those things escape his hands. His child deserved nothing less than the inheritance that was going to be his soon, and his wife should be respected everywhere. He, however, took wine and left the mansion, deciding to move to his penthouse permanently. He didn't trust Wine or his child with his mother. Their relationship was never going to get better. He could never look at his mother the same way he did before, like a son would look at his mother. After a month, they had their wedding ceremony. It was now after 6 months. Vine's mood swings were getting more and more out of hands. Every time she would nag at him, she would start crying later, feeling bad, and would apologize. It was just another mood swing. Just like now, she sat on couch crying, wasting one tissue after another. Jungkook had his head in his hands. It had been 2 hours straight. He was trying to calm her down, to tell her he didn't mind her nagging at him, but she was not ready to listen. Wine, see, you're getting tired of me now. God, what will I do now? She started crying loudly. He couldn't believe how dramatic she became over the months. He just hoped it didn't continue after the delivery. Jungkook, no love, I'm not tired of you. I just want you to stop crying. I can't see you cry, you know that. It hurts me. That's why I was looking down. She stopped crying. Did it work? He controlled his celebration for a moment until he confirmed it. Wine, do you mean it? Jungkook, I mean it. You're well aware I can't see you in pain. Now please stop crying for me. It will affect our baby too. She sniffed and wiped her tears and nodded. Jungkook sat beside her and wiped her tears, brushing her fingers through her hair. He let out a sigh in relief. Finally, finally it was over. He might as well get paid for it at this point. Jungkook, I love you. He kissed her head and she gasped a little. Wine. He kicked. Is he jealous? Jungkook chuckled happily. It was just another of level of happiness for him. Every time the baby kicked, every time he showed his signs of presence. Jungkook, Daddy loves you too, little. Daddy loves you so much. He kissed her belly and rubbed his cheek against it. Wine smiled and brushed her fingers through his hair. He straightened up and rubbed her cheeks. Jungkook, don't cry like this again. I told you, I don't like it. She pouted and he kissed it away. He was the happiest, having a wife so loving and a child near to enter this world. He had a family, and a lucky man could never ask for more.